AstraZeneca and Oxford are defending their COVID vaccine trials following some big questions that are being asked about how the candidate was being tested. Earlier this week, the company announced combined results found that the vaccine was 70% effective, but that number came from combining a smaller group of people who received an unintentionally lower dose of the vaccine. That lower dosage showed a 90% effectiveness versus the larger group of people who received a higher dosage, and that showed 62% effectiveness. The head of the White House Vaccine Task Force raised some doubts about the trial data and the drug's efficacy rate, but AstraZeneca says that, quote, the highest standards were used, also says that additional analysis will be conducted. But guys, this is a really serious issue, and this is a big issue for people who are proponents of vaccines, who want to make sure that the public trusts in the vaccines. AstraZeneca has not been very forthcoming about this when they first rolled out their big announcement on this last Monday. All they said was that there were two different groups that had different dosages, and the combined results was 70%, that the lower dosage was 90%. They didn't explain at the time that the lower dosage was a complete accident because they had a problem with the manufacturing and didn't even realize that they were giving these people a lower dose than anticipated. These are thousands of people who got the wrong dosage only because the company had a manufacturing error and didn't even realize the problem in the dosing with all of it. That in itself is a huge problem. On top of that, you're now talking about only 2,700 people who got this dosage, and that is not anywhere near the much larger scale clinical trials that we've seen for both Moderna and Pfizer in this country, where you're talking about 20,000 people or more. On top of that, there are other concerns. They were only testing people up to age 55, and that's been a big question with any of these vaccines. The reason we were so excited about both Moderna's vaccine candidate and Pfizer's vaccine candidate is they were testing them on older adults. And in fact, in one of those trials, found that the adults age 65 and up who were tested on this, you still saw better than 94% efficacy. I think it was 94.5%. That's really important because this is a disease that attacks elderly people more than younger people. So you need to make sure that vaccines, which often don't work in older people, would work on these things. So there's a lot of questions that have been raised. It's not to take anything away from the idea that this is a third candidate that could be very promising, and especially because AstraZeneca's vaccine candidate doesn't require the same storage temperatures. You're talking about much lower storage temperatures that need to be there for both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines. So this would be something that could be shipped to places where you couldn't control it quite as well. But it does raise some serious questions and probably is an argument for slowing things down and making sure we're doing our research a little more thoroughly. Steve?
Becky, there was one thing you didn't mention, which also caught my eye, this idea that there were disclosures by the company in a call with analysts that were not otherwise made public. And that really bothered me. I think these companies, some of them realize that what they're doing is something that transcends their responsibilities as private companies. And now they're working, and the critical importance of gaining the public trust. We did some sampling on this in our last All America survey, and there's a lot of people out there who are concerned that that the vaccines could come to market pushed by profits or pushed by politics. And so it's very, very important here that they understand the importance of transparency and the need to gain the public's trust. It's going to have a critical impact on whether or not these vaccines have the effect they can have if people take them.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.